Hexagonal rivals duel in the Bengal Fieldhouse tonight on North Metro TV. Andover and Blaine opened up this season with a conference game just over a month ago. The Huskies offense got out to a big start that night in a 69-44 win. Since then, the Blaine Bengals have picked up 4 rivalry victories, including most recently against their border rival, Coon Rapids. To get another win against another neighbor tonight, Blaine will have to find a way to contend with 3 big-time scorers for Andover and create some consistent offense of their own, missing one of their key parts. From Blaine High School, I'm J.W. Cox alongside Blythe Whaley and Blythe. It's going to have to start, I think, on the defensive side the rest of the way for the Bengals. When they've defended this season, they're very good, and it's a tough challenge with the way the Huskies can score the basketball.
Yeah, absolutely. One of those players that they need to for sure hone in on. Kopetsky has had numerous points in a few of their matchups, not just this year, but last year as well. So what does that look like for them to make sure that they stop those scoring chances? But it's not just Kopetsky. There's so many players on this Andover team that can score, so it's going to be a consistency throughout the board. Everyone is going to play an equal part on defense.
If they want to have a high-scoring game, which the Bengals can do, we've seen it this season. They've scored 70 points a game in their 4 wins. They can shoot the basketball well, but there will be a different challenge tonight, Blythe, as we were talking about before. Sam Olsen not going to be available tonight, and that changes things on the offense for the Bengals.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially even he's the top scorer, but also that top rebounder. So who is going to take care of some of those boards for the Bengals as well?
Andover wins the tip. They'll go right to left. They attack very quickly, and a wild shot put up by Nick Fine. He's one of those scorers that they'll have to keep an eye on. Maybe not the best effort right away, trying to get a quick bucket off the wind of the tap, and the Bengals come back with it, working left to right. Top of the key for Isaac Moyne. He's run the point rather well. Running the baseline there. Myers picks it up, tries to kick it back out, and it's tapped away. They say off of Andover. Out of bounds, it'll be Bengal basketball. Just underway, first 22 seconds gone. Bengals have their first offensive possession. 70 points a game in their wins, but 10th best offense overall was 60 points per contest as they've struggled against some other teams who have held them down. Aaron Call curling his way down the lane, has trouble with the basketball, tries to save it and does, but right to the Huskies. Look to go in transition. Masungu left all alone on the right side wing to try and get it started from deep. Couldn't get it done, and the rebound controlled by Myers on a good block out there, cleaning the glass as Blythe was talking about. Call, deep trigger 3 left side, can't hit it. Aaron Call can knock those down. That time just didn't fall, so a slow start for everybody offensively here. A minute gone.
Yeah, you can see the energy by both of these teams. They want to come out of the gates. They want to be that first team to hit a bucket and get things rolling. But it's really going to be who is going to last and be able to settle down to be able to get maybe that first bucket. Things kind of are going pretty frantic on both sides.
Settle down, the key. The Bengals run into a turnover. Andover nearly gave it right back. And now the Huskies in the half court, trying to maybe establish things inside. Haven't done it yet. Sungu to Kopetsky on the left side wing. Good defense down low from Myers. And now, just now, the ball kicks inside for the first time. Out to Calvin Foy, the starting point guard. Long defensive possession with Masungu out there. He'll settle for the deep 3 over the top of the defense, and he'll pour it down.
Yeah, the patience there by the Huskies, that was the difference maker at CM to hit that first one to go through the net.
Masungu, 16 points a game. He had 12 in that opener that I talked about. Drive in for Max Stepanek. He turned. He was open there for a second to the bucket as they're down 3-0. Ball spinning around the outside. Some success when the ball movement has been there for the Bengals this year. Drive in the lane, and an offensive foul. Whistled away from the ball, so the Bengals will turn it over again.
That offensive set for the Bengals looked like it was promising just for how much that they were settled down. We just saw the Huskies settle down on their offensive set. Looked like it transferred over to the Bengals, kind of working the ball around, finding their way, but unfortunately just that charge.
And it was on the ball. It was on Larson. Driving in there, drive and a step back. Kopetsky couldn't hit it. Call fighting for the rebound with Myers. Myers pulls it away along the baseline. Stepanek works his way in. Right side again. Drive and a strip, but a foul, and 2 shots coming up quickly here for the guy who just gave it away, Ethan Larson, trying to work back into it. 15.5 to go. Elijah Alexander, big post man there, trying to clog up the middle, calling for the foul. Free throw drops in. It's a big first half. That first time these two teams met. Andover led by 12 at the half, 32-20, and then Bengals never really got the offense on track, scored just 24 in the second half, while Andover put up 37. Both free throws go down for Larson, so the Bengals back within one at 3-2. Masungu along the baseline, little floater won't go. 3 of those that they've missed going towards the bucket. So tough to find the touch at the field house so far. Myers got caught up in traffic, knocked away. In transition for Foy, he goes up and rattles it home.
Foy has certainly been one of those guards that has helped the Huskies in a lot of their victories. With just that, we see him get a steal and it going the other way.
Stepanek, top of the key, pulls the trigger on the 3, couldn't get it to go. Now Call, head fakes. As Foy catches up to him quickly, they're going to have to keep an eye on number 40 in dark blue. Right side, and that'll be another offensive foul as the right elbow got a little loose for Ethan Larson. He'll pick up his second foul the exact same way. That one a little more evident as Larson knocked down Nick Fine. Jack Pelkey will get into the game for the Bengals. Low scoring so far, which, well, high scoring back and forth games haven't turned out well for the Bengals yet. So playing a game in the 60s is going to work out for him. Foy, Kopetsky playing with it, top of the key. Stepanek the face guard for a moment as it slips on the left side. Ball reversed. Foy lost it for a second, gathered it back. Looking to go up with it instead, the outlet. And over the one possession lead, nearly poked away by Myers, but instead Masungu uses that little seam and gets to the bucket and finishes his second bucket. 5 of the 7 points belong to Masungu.
And you see that sometimes with the closeout. He had time, and his defender just tightened up and able to just drive right by him.
Good back cut for Stepanek and a nice bounce pass feed for Call. It just got knocked away, turned into the held ball. Possession arrow favors the Bengals. A little sluggish start here on offense for both of these teams, really. 9 combined points this first 4 minutes. Moyne with it. To cross back to Call. They're trying to get inside for Pelkey, looking to establish where Olsen would have been. Good move for Pelkey to get to that left-hand hook. Couldn't get it to go. Rebound inside for Myers. Clean the glass. Couldn't get the shot to fall. And finally, Alexander finishes it up for Andover. Quickly up ahead, not waiting at all. And up and a foul. And Fine will go to the free throw line. Called that one on Call. Already the 3rd foul on the Bengals. 1 foul whistled on the Huskies so far. Fine just short. First game, the Bengals held to those 44 points. Nobody scored in double figures for the Bengals that night. Second of 2 goes down for Fine. (8-2) on the lead, and now the Huskies bringing the pressure. Moyne and Myers forced all the way up top. Kopetsky defending right on that pause. Moyne has to make his way around on the dribble to free up some space. Stepanek. Back to Myers, who will just wind his way into the lane, draws 2 defenders, and draws the foul. So that'll be the second on Andover.
But I like the way that the Bengals settled into that offensive set. Again, we've seen a lot of kind of forcing the pace, which sometimes can work for teams, but it seems today that the Bengals, it's going to down and work it around on offense.
Masungu will sit, as will Alexander. Lob comes all the way up top. Pelkey, great back cut for Myers, and he's wide open for the finish. Moving without the basketball, finally turns into a bucket. Bengals have done it well a couple of times, but run into traffic. Quickly right back the other way, inside, right-handed hook, no good. For Andover, Pelkey fights for the rebound, gives it up, and a whistle and a foul. As Schumacher blitzed his way in there off the second attempt. And he'll go to the free throw line, and the foul coming up on Myers.
Those are tough when you give up that defensive board and then, of course, end up committing the foul. So when you're thinking about it, what does that look like to make sure you're rebounding so that you don't have these foul opportunities happening for the Huskies here to go to the line?
Schumacher's first goes down. Second off the front of the rim, and that time Myers pulls down the rebound. Look to go in transition, surrounded by those white jerseys, finds Moyne, who pops open and free for a triple and knocks it down. Isaac Moyne, one of a handful of Bengals, averaging just over 7 points a game. They need those guys to step up consistently the rest of the year to generate that offense. Kopetsky along the baseline finds Schumacher for three, no good. Long rebound. Bengals trying to run out with Stepanek. Had it knocked away, but a foul's going to be called. Schumacher can't believe it. That'll be foul number 3 on the Huskies. Well, you got a leading receiver from the football team who gets on Lane down the floor. You're going to try and lob it up to him.
Yeah, of course.
Stepanek nearly got there for the layup. Myers will sit. Into the game comes Ethan Pettis. Lanky wing that the Bengals have used successfully on offense. Step back 3 for Call, trying to get things rolling, and that one wouldn't go. He's been held scoreless so far. Andover did a good job on him the first time out. Open up the season as well. Straight away, Foy steps awkwardly into a 3 and couldn't hit it. Moyne brings down the rebound.
He was wide open, so as I see that, he would take it, but definitely he probably had a second to maybe set up for it.
Call tries to go on the reverse, couldn't hit the layup. Huskies don't let the grass grow under their feet when they get the rebound and head down the floor in transition. Kopetsky got it to the rim, a nifty finish for his first bucket.
Yeah, if you're the Bengals, you do not want him to get going. It certainly has been a great part of their success in the few matchups that they've had in the last year.
Moyne thought about the 3 again, drives down the baseline. To Pelkey, skip past Stepanek, hand in his face. He doesn't care, comes up just short, and the rebound pulled down by Schumacher. Schumacher, good minutes off the bench here as we're under 11 and a half to go. From the field house, Kopetsky feeling it off back iron, off the top of the backboard. And out of bounds. I'm with Isaac Moyne. I thought that one was far enough over where that should have been out of bounds, but it's going to be Andover ball.
Something that's interesting, too, is when these two teams matched up at both contests, it was Andover's winning 1. So now this year, Andover's 1-1, so maybe the Bengals' turn. We'll find out.
Fine inside, closed out upon by Myers, who just came back in the game. They lob it to Fine one-on-one there. Runs into extra defense, taken away, but a jump ball. And that's going to keep it with Andover as the arrow will go back to the Bengals. Still going to be Andover ball. Good defense inside for Pelkey.
Yeah, those are the opportunities you want to make sure that you double. You put the ball right in Pelkey's face as he turns around, so great help defense.
Schumacher has to lob all the way up to the top of the key. There's Kopetsky, watched by Stepanek. Final on the baseline, cut off well there by Pelkey again, playing good defense along the baseline. Now it's thrown away, tapped by whom? Nobody. It's out of bounds off Andover. So the Bengals basically 3 defensive stops there, Blythe, one time down the floor, and they eventually get the ball out of it. Trailing this game 11-7.
Yeah, and Coach Arsdorf was telling me before the game that he just wants his team to have that consistency on both sides of the court. So we'll see some awesome plays defensively and offensively, but how can his team rank that or pull that together and have it throughout the game?
Well, look at it right there. I mean, Beckman looking for a great backdoor, and you love the idea. That's what they're looking to do. The pass is just a little too early, a little too strong. Becomes a turnover instead. There's a wide open backdoor for Myers, just couldn't connect. That's where your consistency comes into play. Well, they like this at least, being able to set up in the half court against Andover. Done most of their damage in transition. Kopetsky turns, got it off a friendly tip right to Schumacher. He's in the lane against 3 Bengals, put it up, missed it, got his own rebound. That one wouldn't go down. Pulled down the rebound again, but it goes off his knee and out of bounds. So there's another half-court situation where the Bengals hold and get the stop.
Yeah, but something they'll still want to look at is just not getting that rebound first off. I mean, when you're thinking about those second chance opportunities that could play a role as we get further in this game, that's something you want to make sure you hone in on.
Beckman drives, good kick. Finds Pettis, starts to drive, held the pivot foot. Myers in the lane, Stepanek traveled. They got away with nearly traveling the first 2 guys that touched the basketball and faked like they were going to drive in. And that time Stepanek dragged the pivot foot a little bit too much.
Third time's the charm, you know.
Apparently.
You just got to go 2-3.
I like that approach, though. I mean, they're moving it with some zip. They're looking to attack. 11-7, Masungu. Skips it up top to Schumacher. Trying to get it inside for Angel. Pelkey was fronting him, now providing some help, but Masungu drives right in, and Pelkey had his head turned, didn't see him, so Masungu finishes easily. 7 points for him. A whistle on this aggressive defense, and Kopetsky will get called for the foul. Call back in for Pelkey. No, excuse me. Call back in for Stepanek, his first break. Andover not pulling away, but this end of the floor problematic so far for the Bengals, and they get a turnover here. Aggressive play by Schumacher to create it for the Huskies. Nobody picked up Kopetsky. Files his way to the right side wing and knocks down the triple.
And again, we talked about not wanting him to get started. He had 21 points in that first matchup already this year, so how can you make sure that you shut him down and not allow that to continue in this first half?
Beckman working out of the aggressive, great defense for these Andover Huskies so far. Beckman down to the deck. 5th team foul on the Huskies. Minutes to go in the first half from the field house. Live hoops on a Wednesday night here on North Metro TV. That means both these teams will be in action again on Friday with the Wednesday-Friday setup. Bengals will take on Maple Grove, their next Northwest Suburban contest. Ball poked away. Over and back allowed Myers to now work it to Beckman. Nobody's leaving Call's hip. Right now it's fine, forcing him to get that catch all the way out near the timeline. Now he steps around him. That was Foy, excuse me.
And that was exactly what Coach Ani was saying. They had their targets on Call and as well as Olsen. Of course, Olsen not playing tonight, so all the eyes are on Call and making sure that they shut him down.
Bengals got to move, and they'll draw the hand check foul. Be the 6th team foul, so still 1 away from the bonus. That might be a path to some offense for the Bengals later in this half. But it is good, aggressive defense so far in the half court for these Andover Huskies that are making life somewhat miserable. Pelkey and Myers will sit down. Moyne back in, along with Ethan Larson. And Beckman, I think, going to be called for the foul here after the loose ball. So that's 5 team fouls on Blaine. Max Hunter into the game, received that inbounds, gets it right back. Run off the 3-point line by Beckman into the short jumper, can't hit it. Rebound tapped out, controlled by Blaine.
He didn't make that one, but I think it was a great decision, that pump fake and drive. So if he's going to do that again later, I think it'll be successful.
Call alone, and finally alone drops in the triple. That's his first points of the game, coming here with just under 8 minutes to go. Cuts it back down to his 6-point, 2-possession game. Beckman nearly had the steal. After Hunter again. Nobody there on the back cut for Fine. Starts to drive on Pettis and stops. On the baseline, the hook rolling up and in for Calvin Foy. He doesn't just get down there and just randomly do that. You can tell he's worked on that. It's smooth over the front of the rim. Another whistle in transition. A 1-and-1 opportunity now coming up for the Bengals. Down 8. Low scoring affair, as we mentioned. It was 13-point lead in the first game between these two at the half. 12-point lead, excuse me, 32-20. We'll be seeing that pace again. Kopetsky comes back in. He scored 5. Masungu leads the way with 7 as Pettis will go to the free throw line.
And so these free throws could be the difference maker as we continue on in this first half if the Bengals continue to get to the line, stop the clock, and possibly bring this game closer.
Well, it doesn't help the aggressive style on defense that the Huskies are playing. That they've started to pile up some of these hand check whistles. I'm sure they've seen that before, though. Up by 4, Masungu Quick as a wink. He was down the floor, got the pass, and finished. 9 points for him here in the first half.
Unfortunate turnover there by the Bengals. Again, you're trying to push the ball up the floor. You want to make sure that you're going to have a few more opportunities on offense that are quick transition, but this one just not connecting.
Masungu's been a go-to guy. Their last game, a loss to Park Center. Still had 19 in that one. 3 different times he's scored 20. So 11 in white. It's got to be a focal point defensively too, running around with Kopetsky. Makes them so tough. Fine along the baseline. Bengals are down by 8 on defense. Drive for Fine inside, offensive foul. Good rotation over, and Call draws the charge. That's crucial right there. You turned it over, as you just mentioned. Unfortunately for the Bengals, got to get it back somehow.
Yeah, and that's something also I was going to say. Coach Arsdorf was probably telling his guys too, is you don't want to get beat by those guys that you know are key contributors to this Husky team. And so what does that look like to shut down Kopetsky, to shut down Masungu, and that's exactly what you just saw. Fine having to bring it in.
Larson drives himself to the low block. Had to kick it back out, gets it again. Crossover on Alexander. Kick to an open 3. Stepanek just short. Larson tipped out the rebound. 3 ball up and good for Pettis.
Huge second chance opportunity there just to be able to get that tip and have that 3 opportunity to put it in. Again, that's only going to help them get closer.
Gigantic right there to be able to get that kept alive by Larson on the offensive glass. Now Masungu, fans alive for one of the first few times. A mix of applause from both fan bases as in goes Kopetsky, bouncing his way down the lane. 7 points, and the lead goes back up to 7, excuse me. Good curl for Call. Good find. Moyne's jumper no good. Only Huskies home for the rebound. Lob quickly up the floor and an attack to the rim, no good. Call secures the rebound. Tripped on his way out, and the Bengals will take a timeout anyway. So no whistle for the foul, but the potential trip. The Bengals take the timeout, down by 7, 5:15 to go. This is a crucial 5:15 here, Blythe. The Bengals, the offense, they've struggled certainly to absorb some of that pressure from the Huskies throughout this first half. They've got to make this their own now, make sure this doesn't slip any further closer to that 10-point mark we were just before that triple a minute ago.
Yeah, and we saw it. As this game got within 5, the fans started to come alive, and so that can really help the Bengals put a few more buckets in. The fans are with you, and that's going to help you. Even though you can't, not as many people as what normally in all the seasons, but still, when you have that support on your home floor, it helps.
Andover at 6-3 in the top 10 in both offense and defense. 7th on offense with 67 points a game, allowing about 63. The Bengals are just outside the top 10 in both of those categories, averaging about 60 points per game for Coach Arsdorf for their 4-4 record. Don't forget, NorthMetroTV.com. That's the place to find our schedule. Also a breakdown of the games we're scheduled to cover, where you can catch them, whether it's on our over-the-air channel, digital offerings as well. Just over 5 minutes to go in the first half here. Bengals down by 7. Coming in off a win over Coon Rapids. 2 wins over Centennial and a win over Anoka. I think I used the term rivalry win a little broadly when I said they had 4 of those, but I'd say all 3 of those schools are rivals. You got the Cougar rivalry, you got the border rivalry with Coon Rapids, and Anoka. Come on, it's everybody's rival. Moyne from the corner starts to reverse it. Straightaway 3, Pettis, they left him there and he knocks it down. He's feeling it now. That was 2 steps beyond the arc. He's got 8 in the half, and it's a 4-point game, closest we've been in several minutes. Kopetsky to answer. Off back iron, Masungu tracks down the rebound. Knocked away, ends up in the hands of the Huskies inside. The shot by Angel is missed. Up the floor quickly to Call for 3, no good. The rebound pulled down by Hunter and the Huskies. Up ahead to Foy. That just might have ticked the rim, but they'll call it an air ball for good measure in the stands. 4 minutes to go, 4-point game. And we mentioned losing their last game to Park Center despite that 19-point effort from Masungu, 73-55. They've lost some good teams so far. Champlin Park, #1 in the state. Tight game, lost by 4 against Maple Grove, and then to Park Center, who's got 7 victories. Pettis threw it right to Masungu in the passing lane. Pettis got down there to try and bother, but Masungu still finishes. He's got 11.
And again, those are the mess-ups that you don't want to happen in this first half as you're trying to have it closer before halftime, not have too much of a hole to climb back into.
Stepanek driving the whistle before he attempted the shot, but still 8 team fouls, so a 1-and-1 for Max Stepanek. Schumacher will check in for 4. Meanwhile, Myers getting set to check back in. Pettis, a couple of huge buckets, he'll sit down. Bengals leading scorer with 8. Stepanek can't hit the free throw. Rebound tapped all the way to Kopetsky. Remains a 6-point game with 3.5 to go in the first half. Hunter drives towards Masungu. They left him alone. Not afraid to take those halfway down and out. Rebound pulled down by Shoemaker. Kicked it out, stolen by Stepanek. Stepanek hesitates, then gets all the way to the rim and finishes.
And there's where you see the experience. I mean, Olsen, Stepanek, and Call all having experience in great varsity minutes last season. Of course, Olsen not here, so Stepanek having to step up in this game and Call as well to show that leadership, but we see it in that play there.
Good secondary break, too. He could have just charged right to the bucket, settled, and then found his lane. Kopetsky, a deep 3, no good. Got to control the boards if you're the Bengals. Another offensive rebound to Andover. It's back to Kopetsky. Elbow jumper left, knock it down. Second chance points for Kopetsky. He's got 9, and the lead is back up to 6.
And we talk about it again, tough having Olsen out. Being a top rebounder for this team, that's something the whole team needs to help contribute to what they're missing here.
Stepanek this time driving out of the corner, goes up with it, through some contact and finishes. That was partially blocked there. Stepanek, the oomph to finish.
Yeah, I appreciate when guys go up and they're not just looking for the foul. They want to make sure they're going up strong to finish it as well.
Jumper missed. Hunter a second chance on a tip ball out to him, missed again. Myers in transition. He avoids the draw of the charge and finishes over the front of the rim. 6-0 run, all Stepanek and Myers. That experience coming to the fore, and it's a 2-point game with 2 minutes to go in the half.
And you hear the crowd is in this game, and that's exactly what the Bengals wanted to do. It's going to help them through the rest of this first half if they can keep it up.
Schumacher right side. Making buckets makes this half-court defense easier, too, because you're not allowing those runouts for the Huskies. Masungu and Schumacher playing catch with Hunter in the middle. Masungu calls for the screen and finds Kopetsky. Off a Husky in the lane, not expecting it. Transition again for Myers. Backs his way to the bucket, lets the defense go by and miss the layup. Alexander the rebound. Now the Bengals got back in transition. High post Alexander feeds Masungu. Coming up on 1:10 to play. Masungu knifes his way past the defender and finishes. Quick step through, though the defense collapsed. He's got 13 in the half. Back to a 4-point lead. Stepanek. High post for Pelkey. Let him take it, and he took it, just couldn't hit it. See what Andover does. I don't know if there'll be any hurry to give any other possessions to the Bengals, and they make a bucket. All of a sudden, they're back up by 6 when it was a 2-point game moments ago.
Yeah, huge defensive possession here for the Bengals, trying to hold this one out before halftime.
Schumacher does fire with 30 seconds left, couldn't hit it. Call thought he was falling out of bounds, so he saved the rebound in. It went right to Schumacher, who threw it away off of Call. So 21 seconds now.
how tough. The Bengals had it. They were almost going to have another possession here to maybe put this one back in within 2, maybe, you know, and giving it right back. So again, have to tighten it up on defense to hold this one out.
Second chance opportunities help build this 28-point first half for the Huskies. They've cashed in on those. Masungu with 10. He's got Pettis on him. Crosses over, free to the elbow. Lobs underneath, and the layup no good. And a whistle and a travel. So the 1.4 seconds standing on the clock will belong to the Bengals. Jared Kleppe had just come into the game for the Huskies. Receiver of that pass from Masungu. Lob to Call. Oh, and a reach-in foul, and he'll go to the free throw line for 2 here with 0.2 seconds left. That's the only thing you couldn't do, Blythe.
Yeah, Bengals getting a lucky couple things happening here in the last few seconds. Of course, just they gave up that second chance opportunity. The Huskies had it, but then getting it back, and now, of course, getting fouled to go to the line.
Call was lobbying that he was shooting that, which he's got a pretty good case with seconds winding down, that he's going to try and throw it up there, but I don't think I've ever seen an official yet who's going to give people the benefit of the doubt on that. First free throw is good. Second one as well, so 2 more for Call at the line. Ball was away on time, I think, but comes up too strong. And it is a 2-point game at the half, so that's the silver lining if you're the Bengals. Jared Call had just 5 points in the first half, 2 of them coming just before the horn. You're still in a 1-possession game against the Andover Huskies. Should be a good one in half number 2. Come on back to the Fieldhouse with us after this on North Metro TV. The Fieldhouse at Blaine. J.W. Cox alongside Blythe Whaley. Rand and Josie on the cameras. Kirsten's back punching the buttons in the studio to bring you this live coverage here. And a good close to the first half there, Blythe. 28-26, Bengals down by 2. They flirted with being down by double figures there about midway through the half, but found some offense, which stopped the transition game for Andover. What did you like about how the Bengals overall were able to close that first half?
Yeah, of course, when you're thinking about the Bengals, I'm first going to start with what I didn't like and what I'm going to hope that they're going to look to change here in the second half. Gave up a lot of second chance opportunities to the Huskies. So if you think about if they would have cut down on a lot of those, how much closer this game could be, and also maybe they could be ahead. But some things that we're liking by the Bengals, of course, some of those times when they were able to push the basketball, find the open man, it was some great transition basketball. But of course, too, when you think about it, on that offensive set, the Bengals they didn't give up. And that's something that they're going to need to continue here in the second half. It's going to be a battle. Andover isn't a team that you're going to beat easily. And so if the Bengals can continue to hunker down, they've shown us that we can expect some excitement here if they're able to in the first.
22 of the 28 points for the Huskies belong to Masungu and Kopensky. 13 for Masungu in the first half. Kopensky with 9. 4 points for Calvin Foy, a point for Nick Fine, as well as a point on a free throw for Andrew Schumacher. Meanwhile, Myers with 4, Moyne with 3, Stepanek with 4, Larson with 2, Pettis with 8, and Call with 5. Spreading things around for the Bengals. Ball tapped out on the inbounds as Blaine will start with the basketball. Down by 2, so a chance to tie it up and really start over here in the first opening seconds of the half. Stepanek finds Moyne to a back-cutting Call. Myers couldn't get the wild shot off balance to go, but got his own rebound. Turns into a kick-out. Stepanek for 3, no good. Rebound controlled by Kopensky. Couple of good looks there. Good opportunities. Turns into Foy driving to a jumper at the left elbow, and he pours it home. 6 for him in the game. Andover at times in that first half piling up fouls. Difficult pass in there, and they say it goes off the Bengals, trying to thread that needle. Turnovers contributed to that tough offense in the first half for the Bengals. Unable to get some things going in the first 10 minutes of the half.
We talk about a lot the Huskies' offense and how great they've been able to find Masungu and find Kopetsky, but their defense has been really tough as well, and that's what's causing some of the struggles we've seen Blaine have.
Be interesting to see if the whistles ring out as much as they did early in the second half as they did in the first. That kind of calmed some things down and sent the Bengals to the free throw line to get some points. Jump shot this time by Foy. Just missed. Quickly up the floor for Larson. Drives and an offensive foul. Before the kick out, Fine draws the offensive foul. And that'll be Larson's third. And all three, Blythe, offensive in variety. That the first charge, then a couple times got called using that off arm.
And sometimes that can be really tough too. It's something, if you're a player and you see the ref is going to call that, they're going to be looking at you to possibly commit that again. And so even more so than if you hadn't committed one already in the game. But unfortunate for him, as of course, to have to take a seat.
Kopecky flying around his screen. Good recovery there by Stepanek. Trying to get into Alexander. Watched by Pelkey. Splits the defense and finishes. Alexander with his first bucket of the game. They've looked for him in the half court. Bengals have done a good job of keeping it away. Down by 6. Scoreless so far here in the half to Pelkey. Pelkey rises in too strong.
And you saw how many Huskies were around him in that. I would love to see him kick it out wide and see if they were able to convert on the outside.
Oh, a foul's going to be whistled. Guy on the baseline I don't think was going to call a foul. But they call the block on Pelkey. Second foul on the Bengals so far this half. Masungu, the no look inside to Fine. He's blanketed by 2 defenders. Got it to Alexander, but too low. That's a tough pass to handle. He puts his hands to his face there because he didn't. It was down there at his ankles.
Huskies do a good job of finding each other. I feel like oftentimes you see players, they're so focused on going to the basket, they're not looking to see that open man. And Huskies certainly have found some great passes. Unfortunate end to that last play, but when you're finding each other like that, it's no wonder why you're having success on offense.
Bengals are going to have to get A.J. Call going here in this second half. Just 5 points in the first, 1 made field goal. In the lane looking to distribute. Stepanek off the bounce. The baseline clears, and he finishes pretty with the reverse.
Yeah, that was a beautiful possession by the Bengals. And, of course, again, just that leadership coming from Stepanek, taking it to the hoop. It looked easy for him, even though it certainly wasn't an easy shot.
Back within 4, 32-28, their first bucket of the second half. Kopecky drives around Stepanek. And they're looking, you talk about looking for something, they're looking for those hand checks. So the minute Stepanek, the moment he put that hand on, he's going to get whistled for that. His first 3 on the Bengals in the half so far.
Yep, as a player, it's something to be aware of. What are the refs looking at in this game? Because every ref is a little bit different, and some refs are more attuned to those hand checks, and you've seen that in this game tonight.
Alexander straightaway 3, won't crawl home. Moyne pulls down the rebound. Bengals quickly to call. Pelkey wanted it right away, instead to Moyne. Falling down, will shovel it out to Pelkey. I don't think anybody tapped that, so it's an over and back, and the Bengals will turn it over. First half, and again here in the second half, the Bengals just not quite coming out of the gates firing on all cylinders. Still very much in this, though, 32-28. Done some good things defensively in here in half number 2. Keep the Huskies from getting a true footing. Good switch, but Kopecky driving past Pelkey. Extra pass, Fine, got in the air with nowhere to go, found Foy. Foy to the free throw line and surrounded. Head fakes his way into a foul call and finishes. Ooh. You can just give him the 2 points and run back the other way. He was falling down, but they'll call the blocking foul, and that's already the 4th team foul on the Bengals here in the half.
And I would say that was a great representation of an athlete being committed to that possession. I mean, it looked like it was over. There was so many guys on him there in the lane, but still working away to find it now, a 3-point play.
35-28. 7-point lead off the 3-point play. Now a whistle and a push called on Masungu. That'll be the first foul on the Huskies here. 5 whistles on fouls in the first 3 minutes, just under it, of this second half. So things haven't really changed from the first half. We saw a lot of whistles there. We're seeing a lot of whistles now. Both these teams going to have to find ways to play through that here. Ethan Pettis into the game in the second half for the first time. Curling A.J. Call couldn't quite handle it. Just saves it to Moyen. That aggressive half-court defense for the Huskies, making life tough. Stepanek drives. Finds Colt Moyen for the short corner jumper, and he knocks it down. Masungu, he'll attack and crawl it over the front of the rim. Quite the finishing ability once he gets in tight. Contort his body through some defensive pressure.
Yeah, again, and that's if you know if there's these key players, they're going to be the ones that are driving. They're going to be the ones making those plays. So how can you make some of those other players be the ones to beat you? You'll feel a lot better at the end of the game if the other players were the ones who contributed to make them beat you if they were going to.
Sungu got down there defensively to knock that one out. Lob to Moyen, quick screen from Pelkey. He'll slip, he's open, kick instead. Pettis open 3. Couldn't knock it down. That's a well-designed play and a good look, just wouldn't fall. So down 7 with the basketball. They trailed by 2 at the half, but have been held to 4 points here in half number 2. Find and finish underneath for Nick Fine. Great feed from Masungu. And Coach Arsdorf has seen this 2-point game turn into a 9-point deficit and wants to take a timeout to talk to his team. They're just not on the same page and not in sync, Blythe, on that offensive end. Even that last time when it was a good possession and a good play, the shot just didn't fall. So things kind of mounting against them on that end of the floor.
Yeah, and the one thing that the Bengals have working for them is we saw how far down they got in that first half and how close they came back. And so knowing this team has it in them to be able to come back. So, of course, this coach just wants to regroup. How can they make sure that they're back on track?
Sports Den made a comeback to the studio this week. Myself, Rick Palermo in studio for the first time since the fall, right? I mean, we'd been doing those from home prior to that. You can catch those on NorthMetroTV.com, our YouTube page, and on our channel, running all week, and of course airs live, or excuse me, not live, airs for the first time at 10 o'clock on Mondays. All the highlights, we've had a lot of them with the way our cameras have fanned out around the Northwest Suburban Conference. Cover everything from these basketball games to hockey, gymnastics, swim and dive. Will again be on the schedule next week. 39-30, Bengals with the basketball out of the timeout, trailing it by 9. They trailed by 2 at the half, trailed by as many as 9 in the first half. Never by double figures, though. Key possession to keep that a fact right now. More aggressive defense, though. Stepanek has to wait an extra second as Moyen works to get past Kopetsky. Ho, ho, ho. The double team came quickly. Masungu ended up with the basketball, but they're calling for the reach. Be the second on the Huskies here in the half. The Bengals will now have to do it again. Masungu will sit. That is his 3rd foul, so key there as well. Not just to not get the steal, but pick up the 3rd foul on the leading scorer with 12 minutes to go. They'll have to be down on the bench for a little bit. Call doing a lot of work to try and find himself open, but right now Calvin Foy sticking right with it. Into the post, knocked away and stolen by Fine.
Yeah, again, just huge credit to the Huskies defense. We've seen it time and time again. They've been able to the Bengals.
Inside for Fine to try and finish the possession. He started with the steal and it just wouldn't go down. Rebound Stepanek, backs himself into a double team, up to Call. Call with the dribble, spins his way across the Paul logo and hands it off to Pettis. Coming up on the 12-minute mark, Bengals down by 9 with the basketball again. Call, give him a little space, he'll take it, just trying to get himself going. Couldn't hit it. In transition, Foy beat everybody down the floor. He'll attack, hold that one out high and scoop it home for Calvin Foy.
Bengals just got to make sure they get back and set up on defense. They definitely got outworked there by the Huskies moving down the court quickly.
First double-figure lead for the Huskies. Call tries to drive, has it stripped away. Fine again with the steal. This time for the triple. No good. Rebound tapped around. There's Fine. Off glass, won't roll home. Alexander battles for the board. He'll put it up through contact plus a foul. And things are going downhill quickly for the Bengals as the Huskies have a chance at another three-point play.
Yeah, again, we talked about in the first half, just the consistency by the Bengals. We've seen that breakdown here in these last few possessions, both offense and defensively. And I mean, the Bengals just really need to regroup and how can on both sides of the basket, but really you just have to focus on one. So this next offensive set for the Bengals, how can they win on offense to then focus on defense?
Andover wants to take a timeout, talk about their pressure defense. The lead is 14, the run is 16-4. Here in the second half for the Andover Huskies. As some Bengal turnovers have contributed to that, some good looks that haven't gone down, and that tough Andover defense has been the driving factor here in half number 2 to get out to this good start, 44-30.
Yeah, Coach Arsdorf was telling me before the game that he thought what happened in that first game, that season opener between these two teams, was that the Bengals got outworked physically and mentally. And so we're seeing a little bit of that breakdown here in these last couple minutes. And so again, how can this timeout, how can they use it to their advantage, regroup, and at least for sure be on that same page mentally, but then also coming out really strong physically to get some of these boards, to maybe get some of those second chance opportunities that the Huskies have had a lot of success with.
This is the first of 3 straight days of action on North Metro TV. Basketball tonight, hockey tomorrow, Spring Lake Park facing Blaine. That'll be at Fogarty, 7 o'clock on North Metro TV. And then Friday night, Blythe is back with you for Totino Grace at Spring Lake Park. 7 o'clock tip-off for that one inside the gym at SLP. Here at Blaine, down by 14. And that deficit was never this in the first half. It was 8, 9 points a couple of times, and able to cut it to 2. Had a chance here in the second half, a ball in the air even on a 3 that was a good look to take a 1-point lead early, but it's gone the other way since then. Head fake for Myers, goes back to Pettis. Beckman off the bench too. Call draws a quick double as he dribbles away, finds Stepanek starting to drive, and called for the double dribble. Got the extra hand up there as he tried to make his way to the bucket.
And we talk about that rhythm oftentimes helping teams to, transition and score, but we saw the Bengals have a lot of passes that weren't exactly to the guy, and they're having to juggle it and try to score off of that.
Kopetsky didn't have a great angle there and still able to lift it off the square and finish. He's got 11. Masungu on the bench with 15. There goes Stepanek flying to the rim, and talk about some touch. Just squares up the shoulders as the rest of the body goes flailing towards the baseline. And speaking of the baseline, Pettis draws a charge. A chance at a little Bengal run here, down 14.
And they want to use this momentum. You feel it a little bit, that Bengals getting this break here with that charge call called on the Huskies. How can they use it? You feel the momentum possibly turning towards the Bengals.
Just as that happens, though, 2 starters sit down as Call and Stepanek will both get a breather. Moyne, another starter, checks back in, as does Ethan Larson. He's got 3 fouls all on the offensive end of the floor in this game. Down 14. Moyne right to the 10, a little too strong. Good take. Fine pulls down the rebound. In transition, he stops. Back to Kopetsky. Head fakes his way inside, finds Schumacher. Didn't like it, spins it back out. Kopetsky inside, up and in with the right-hand touch for Sam Angel. His first bucket. Up 16, the largest lead. Andover knocks it out. Max Hunter checks back into the game for Andover as Kopetsky will sit. So the top 2 scorers are on the bench, but some valuable breathing time for Masungu and Kopetsky as their squad's up by 16. Beckman Initiates the offense over to Pettis, back to Larson. Looking to attack. Myers left alone. Might have to shoot their way back into it. He couldn't get it to go. Larson on the offensive glass. He'll score for the second time tonight. 9.5 to go, a whistle and a foul. That'll be Larson's fourth, thus the slump shoulders there for 22.
But that's his only defensive foul that he's had, and so it's tough when you're in that position, when you've had 3 fouls happening on that offensive attack.
Inbounds right to Hunter. Back between the circles, Schumacher reverses it around. Inside to Angel, backing in on Myers, put it on the back of the rim. Good defense for Myers in tight. Forced the miss. Call back at it, driving in, clears a little space to the right elbow, and just not his night. Shots aren't falling for A.J. Call, second time in as many games against this Andover team that he has struggled from the floor. Had just 3 points against Andover the first time as Angel finishes again. Pettis stepped out of bounds there. All right, real controversial question here for you, Blythe. That is, I didn't think was a question. Are these Bengal uniforms black or dark blue?
Ooh, this is a great question. From this vantage point, it seems like they're black, but you would assume just for their colors, they gotta be navy, right?
I've never thought they were anything but navy, but the officials all night, when referring to the Bengals, have been saying black. You know, black 22, whatever it is. And so that's got me thinking maybe they think it's black or just anything lighter than the white uniforms of Andover. That's what they're going to go with. Foul whistled on the Bengals. That'll be a 1-and-1 opportunity for Andover.
Well, here, look at.
I think they're blue.
The coach almost he's wearing navy, and the kid is wearing, you know,
the same
the
thing.
black
It looks
jersey.
a little darker.
No.
I don't know.
I'm with the
I
refs
told
on
you it
this
was
one, guys.
controversial.
Like you said, though, I feel like it's got to be navy just for, you'd think, their team color. So
That's what I would assume. It is a dark navy. Free throw good for Angel. He's got 5 points now, all in this half. Comes up short on the free throw. Rebound rather, still up for grabs. Moyne from Call steps into a wing three. Halfway down and out. And that's pretty indicative of the night for the Bengals so far on offense. Masungu couldn't finish that one with the left hand. Myers the rebound. Into traffic. Bodies pile up, and they decide to call a jump ball. It'll be Andover possession.
And I don't blame the Bengals for wanting to push that basketball up the floor, try to work something and make something happen, but ultimately I felt like it was too rushed, that offensive set. It's still going to come from having those good offensive possessions, working it around to find that bucket.
I think a lot of that credit for that last stop, too, and just the way that went, they say over and back for Angel, who thought it was tapped. They say he repossessed it, then went over. But that's that Andover defense. I mean, 3 guys rushed back in transition to meet Myers when he started that push down the floor. It might have been an open lane to the bucket. So in transition in the half court, Andover has brought the defensive intensity tonight, and it's showing up on the scoreboard so far with just under 8 to go. Leading by 17. Myers open 3. Doesn't help that the open looks aren't going either for the Bengals.
Yeah, and I think, too, like when we said Call didn't have a great first matchup versus them, and even tonight it's been tough for him to score.
Angel, the off man, and he's making the most of his opportunities. 7 points here in the second half. Moyne. Call extra pass. Stepanek with a hand in his face. Can't hit it. Schumacher the rebound. Pretty clear reach in that they let go right there. That's been a whistle rest of the night. Huskies didn't like it, but they're still up big by 19. Schumacher will drive. Step past the final man. Too strong with the putback. Nearly there. Myers has the rebound. Pettis head fakes his way to the free throw line. Knocks it down. Smooth there, and Coach Arsdorf It's about time for the last stand here for this team as they're down by 17 with 6:51 to go. If they're going to put the comeback shoes on, they've got to be strapped on firmly after this timeout. 10 points for Ethan Pettis. Off that jumper. But a team that's played defense the way that Andover has, and as I just said, there's been some open looks, and nights are like that sometimes for the Bengals. They just didn't go down. But this Husky team is going to be tough to come back on if they get another 7 minutes or so of defense the way they've played all night.
Yeah, and sometimes it's tough when you see a team, too, when they are missing on offense, and sometimes it seems like, oh, they did get an open shot. Well, the offense can sometimes be frazzled or thrown off just from that defensive pressure, and so it looks like they have that open shot, but the way they're coming into it, they had to work that much harder to get that open shot, which, of course, as results oftentimes just not getting the shot to go down. And we've seen the Bengals struggle from just those shots that maybe even sometimes looked open, but what it took for them to get open was a lot more effort than usual.
Well, you played high school sports and college sports. I played high school sports. I think we've all been in huddles like the Bengals were just in. And that's a coach who's taking the time to, all right, let's go do what we can in the next 6:51. But that was a coaching timeout, making sure that guys understand what his message is, what he hasn't been happy about here in this game, and what needs to change in the next 6:51. 53-36, down by 17 and on defense. Masungu and Kopetsky both back into the game. Fine on the wing, drives past Cole, draws an extra defender. Skip pass goes out. Hunter the jumper. It's the guy you want taking the shot if you're the Bengals. Of your options, rather. Moyne kicked out back to a cutter. Myers works his way inside and he'll finish. Doggedly after those points for Dylan Myers. He has 6.
And there you go, great defensive effort by the Bengals, and they find it on the offensive side as well.
Kopetsky, he'll kick. Left wing 3, nothing but the bottom of the net that time for Angel. A 10-point half, and don't think he's just an inside threat. They found him on the kick. He stroked that one home like he does it all day. 56-38, up by 18. Stolen by Masungo, took it right out of the pocket of Pettis. And had it blocked and pulled out of bounds. Strong from Myers there. Alexander and Schumacher will check in, as does Foy. Masungu's gonna sit. Just outside of 5:20 remaining here in this second half. Schumacher splits 2 defenders. Risky pass out, tipped and controlled by the Bengals. Call thought about triggering that one up, but Fine was there. Instead, Stepanek will drive and finish.
Wonderful job finding that opening there. Huskies sleeping on defense, which hadn't happened too much this game, but he made him pay for that for sure.
56-40, Alexander too strong on the 3. The rebound pulled down by Call. Stepanek in the corner. He'll drive. He'll finish, plus a foul. Free throw coming for Stepanek, who's now got 12, and he can cut this game down to a 13-point deficit with the free throw. You know what I like those last, I think, 3 defensive possessions, Blythe, something you talked about in the first half. Make other guys beat you. And yeah, one of those shots fell as Angel hit it from the corner. Sometimes you're going to live with that, but the last 3 shots have been taken by guys who are either bench players or not top 3 scorers for the Huskies. So the Bengals doing a job on defense. Free throw won't go, so it's still a 14-point game with 4.5 to go.
Yeah, my coaches over the years always saying defense leads to offense. You get a good stop on defense, you have that momentum, bring it to the offensive side, and stop and score.
Foy splits the defenders and finishes. Foy has 13. Corner three for Call wouldn't go. Moyne pulled down the rebound, but he was out of bounds. Go under the 4-minute mark. Way too strong, so good aggressive defense popping up towards the timeline to force that turnover.
But I have seen a huge difference just in these last few minutes coming out of that timeout. Like you said, JW, they can tell that they had to go right then if they were going to have any chance of coming back.
If you're Coach Arsdorf, you're not going to love that this one's going to end up in the loss column without something miraculous here, but you're also going to like that your guys responded even in the final 5 minutes to what you asked them to do. Now you just go back to the drawing board, come out with better starts. We mentioned that both halves started pretty slow as Larson tries to drive, stopped by Alexander. Moyne, hanging jumper, no good, and the rebound pulled down by Fine. Schumacher drive and kick. Foy's triple will go. 16 for him.
Yeah, and I'd credit that one to just being out hustled. Just they had to overcommit because they were behind on defense for them to be able to swing it to a wide open guy.
22 is the season high for Foy so far as Larson drives in. Can't hit the fadeaway. 2:45 remaining. Yeah, this Andover Husky team, they are well conditioned. They never stop. Kopetsky nearly got that one to go with a wild finish as the ball bounces around and ping-pongs its way out off of Larson. Myers back in for Pettis. So if you're going to play the Huskies, you're going to have to come to run because they're going to try and beat you back on offense. And they're going to dog you up the floor on defense too. You can see why their losses lost to two of the top teams, the two top teams in the Northwest Suburban Conference, and then Maple Grove, a team with 6 wins or so, as Foy hits the deck, then a block on the loose ball pickup. Larson, nifty to get past the timeline, then has to settle back down. Moyne in the lane, just short-armed it a bit as he got to the front of the rim. Offensive glass. Stepanek for 3, can't hit it. Call had the rebound on the baseline. Back out to Larson, and he couldn't hit it. He got his own rebound and missed it again. Final 2 minutes. Kopetsky can't finish. Alexander trying for the putback. Up to Larson down the floor. He'll finish this time. And a timeout for Coach Arsdorf. Unfortunately for the Bengals, that's just how it went today. Some good looks didn't go. You compound that with a few untimely mistakes and turnovers, and the way the Andover Huskies played defense spelled a tough night here, down 17.
And again, I mean, Coach Arsdorf would of course have loved if they would have made a couple of those layup opportunities that they had in that offensive set just a moment ago. But when you think about what that took to also be getting his own rebounds. So he got his own rebounds how many times? So again, that's still like one of those wins that you want to think about, because as a coach, you're focusing on rebounds and what that's going to take in these games ahead. I mean, you're only at the halfway point in a season. So if you can keep your guys attuned to getting those second chance opportunities, sure, you want them to make the first, but that's going to help set them up for success as the season goes on.
Look at the Bengals. They've made just 4 threes in this game. This is a team that the last time I saw them against Centennial, they hit 8 in the first half. They're not going to win a lot of games. That's just the fact, especially with Samuel Olson on the bench. Not going to win a lot of games when they hit only 4 threes. That's just too much of their offense needs to come from that to be able to open things up towards the bucket. And they just didn't fall tonight. 61-44. They trail. They're going to push up and defend full court. Maple Grove up next on Friday for the Bengals. Rogers up next for Andover. Huskies in no hurry. Now Foy will drive but kick. Try and take this down close to a minute, I would think. Masungu drives in, blocking foul. Called on the Bengals, and Masungu will go to the free throw line to try and up his 15-point effort on the night.
Masungu, just a sophomore, so a huge credit to him. Has a lot of time ahead of him still in high school.
Can't hit the free throw. He's also right now, of the 5 Huskies on the floor, Blythe, and no one's going to care about this, but we're halfway into it. He's got the highest number out there of any of the Huskies on the floor right now, and it's number 11. I just don't feel like that happens much.
That's true.
A lot of single digits.
Definitely wasn't thinking that.
Yeah.
I was wondering where you're going with this.
This
I'm
is
like,
the
what
high-level stuff that I bring. People know this.
I love it, though. That's great.
Black or navy blue, offensive foul, and who's got the highest number? And Larson, that'll be his 5th, and 4 of the 5 were offensive fouls. Tough night for him, a guy that is going to try and take it to the basket more often than not. And that time was 2 early fouls with the off arm. Set him on that path to eventually fouling out. Kopetsky trying to lob underneath to Fine, who came down with it out of bounds. A little sloppy here in the final 90 seconds or so. Stolen by Masungu. Getting up the floor, and he will jam it home with the left hand. He had just enough space, Blythe. You knew he wanted to do that as soon as he grabbed it in front of the pack. And emphatically, he will give himself 17.
And that's something, too. If you're the Bengals, you just want to finish this game strong. You don't want to let any of these maybe sloppy passes or not as much zip on them to convert to what we just saw there.
Moyne couldn't hit the 3. Final 40 seconds. Masungu at a different speed now. And the Huskies barely a pretense of offense now with the final 30 seconds. So on to Friday night games against Maple Grove for Blaine and against Rogers for Andover. The Huskies are going to fall to 4-5. It will be 7-3 for the Andover Huskies, as they'll try and keep pace with some of the leaders in the Northwest Suburban Conference. 17 points led the way for Sam Masungu, 16 for Calvin Foy, 11 for Ben Kopetsky. The leaders on that end with 10 off the bench in the second half for Sam Angel. 12 points for Max Stepanek, the leader for the Bengals, 10 for Ethan Pettis, the other double-figure scorer. Final score, 63-44 at the Fieldhouse. Andover beats Blaine. For Blythe, for Rand and Josie out here with us, for Kirsten back in the studio, I'm J.W. Cox. Thanks so much for watching our coverage of high school basketball tonight here on North Metro TV. Good night, everybody.